Our presidential candidate is Sister Monica Moorehead. She has devoted her life to fighting racism, to fighting for the rights of black and brown people, of Arab and Muslim people, of oppressed people, not only here in this country, but all around the world, from South Africa, where she's been, to the Philippines, to the Middle East, to all throughout Central and Latin America, in solidarity with the struggling people of Venezuela, and Cuba, and Colombia. She's been fighting for unions and for the rights of low-wage workers. She's been marching with Black Lives Matter to say we will not tolerate this violent, racist police war against our black and brown youth. Not one more murder. She's been fighting on behalf of our sisters who demand equality and freedom and the end of sexism and misogyny. She's been fighting in support of our lesbian, gay, bi, trans, and queer sisters and brothers who are tired of living in the shadows and want the right to come out and say, I am what I am, do not fuck with me. She is our presidential candidate, and we are very proud of her. And she's here today in Herald Square. And I want to tell you that if you're thinking about voting, no one's voting for Trump because he's a fascist. We're not excited about Hillary Clinton because she just represents capitalism and war. You can write in Monica Moorehead. You can write her in officially. That's right, here in New York State.
Sisters and brothers, we're here today to say that there is an alternative to the Democrats and Republicans. There is an alternative to Hillary Clinton and to Donald Trump, which means that there is an alternative to capitalism. This is what our campaign is all about. We're not about trying to get a lot of votes. That's not what we're out here for. I just want to read, just quickly, our 10-point program, some sections of it, because it really shows, it really helps to expose the fact that capitalism is not meeting the needs of the people. It has never met the needs of the people unless you can afford to pay for housing, you can afford to pay for healthy food, or any basic human rights without sacrificing something else. We're for ending the war on black people. We're for reparations now. We stand and defend the Black Lives Matter movement. Number 2, end racism. Support self-determination for black, Latino, indigenous, Asian, and Arab peoples. Number 3, abolish capitalism. We're for fighting for a new society, socialism, which is based on meeting human needs, not corporate greed, where workers can be empowered to meet the needs of the people in terms of carrying out producing all of the goods and services that we need. Medical care, health care, reproductive rights, the right to housing, the right to education, everything that we need, the right to a job, no mass incarceration. These are the things that we all need to be healthy, productive human beings. So we're for fighting. We're for fighting for a socialist society. Number 4, We want to stop the deportations and raids of our immigrant sisters and brothers. Many of them are from Latin America, but also Africa, the Caribbean, and many other parts of the world. We are for full rights for all migrants. We're for ending Islamophobia. Just the other day, sisters and brothers, a young man in Wisconsin, a brilliant student, he was from Saudi Arabia, 24 years old, was beaten to death in Wisconsin. And why? Because he was from another country. He was Muslim. And this white racist beat him to death outside of a pizza parlor. We have to connect this. This is not an isolated situation. This is connected to Donald Trump and all of his Islamophobia, racism and so forth that he's been spewing in all of his rallies and so forth. And this has to stop. This is not an isolated situation. This is going on all over the country, and really since 9/11, this has been happening to our Muslim and sisters and brothers who have the right to practice Islam. We're for opening the borders for people, because if exploitation and the greed of profits, if they know no borders, then the workers should know no borders. The workers have the right to go anywhere around the world to make a living, to end starvation, because the U.S. and other countries have invaded their countries and stolen their resources, undermined their economies, and we're for stopping this. And so we are for and we defend the rights of workers to go and make a living wherever they can. We're for closing the borders for profiteers and warmongers. Number 5, we're for the right of food and water and housing, clothing, healthcare, education, and childcare for all. We're for solidarity with homeless people. Look at all these empty buildings, all these condominiums. Look at Trump Tower. We should be opening up all of these, housing, empty housing, these luxury hotels, and make sure that homeless people have a right. They have a right to shelter. We're for a moratorium now to stop all foreclosures, evictions, utility shutoffs. Justice for the people of Flint, Michigan. Justice for the people of Standing Rock, North Dakota. Our indigenous sisters and brothers are carrying out a heroic fight. Since last April, 300 indigenous Native people have come together in Standing Rock, North Dakota. Why? To stop the building of this Wall Street supported pipeline, the North Dakota Access Pipeline, which is all about making profits. It's also all about poisoning the water in so many states. And so our sisters and brothers are really facing such horrendous repression, macing, including children, dogs being sicked on them. Reminds me of what happened in Birmingham, Alabama, back in the 1960s, when young people were in the streets and leading the struggle for the right to vote, which is also being suppressed in many, many parts of the country right now as we speak, especially in North Carolina. So we need to support our sisters and brothers in Standing Rock. We're not getting the type of publicity that they should be getting because they are needing to fight, not only in this country, but worldwide, for the right to a healthy environment, and also to stop the desecration of their ancestral lands. We have to defend them. There's many demonstrations happening, including tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Museum of Native American People. You can get information from us at 10 a.m. Many of us are going to be there. November 15th, another big demonstration. So if you keep in touch with our election campaign, we can provide all of this information. So we're for justice for the people of Flint, Michigan. We're also fighting for the right to clean water, free education for all, full funding for public schools, which are being closed, in record numbers, job training with a stipend, cancel student debt, which is in the hundreds of thousands for many, many young people, defend the right of student athletes to strike for a living wage. Number 6, women need full liberation in all facets of life. Equal pay for comparable work, reproductive justice, including the right to abortion, restore all welfare programs which were cut by Bill Clinton when he was president in 1996 with the support of Hillary Clinton. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer liberation now. Stop the murders of trans women. Full rights for all queer people. Number 7, we need to change the system, not the climate. Make the Pentagon and all corporations pay for the destruction of the planet. Reparations for climate victims of Hurricane Katrina and elsewhere. Also for the people of Standing Rock in Flint, Michigan. Immediate support for climate refugees who have been forced to leave their homelands because of the devastating climate change that has been taking place, all over the world for many decades. Number 8, defeat imperialism, which is no more than worldwide capitalism. Shut down the Pentagon. U.S. hands off of Latin America, the Caribbean, Asian, Africa, and the Middle East. Build international solidarity. Again, we have to remind people that when Clinton was Secretary of State, she was directly responsible. She answered for the Pentagon when it came to overthrowing the democratically elected governments in Honduras and Libya and many other countries. She's against the people of Palestine who are fighting for their homeland against the racist Zionist regime, settler regime of Israel. So there's so much to be against Clinton for. And plus she doesn't represent the rights of women at all. Right. Number 9. Full employment and decent jobs or income for all, regardless of race, religion, age, gender, disability, or arrest history. In all forms of austerity worldwide, support the movement for 15 and a union, abolish the right to work states, which is really the right to starve in so many, a growing number of states that don't represent the rights of working people to collective bargaining, to a right to unionize. Repeal Taft-Hartley, stop killing disabled people, especially those with emotional disabilities. 40% of the people in this country who are killed by the police have some form of disability. Just think of the 66-year-old woman, Deborah Danville, I believe her name is. She was killed just a few weeks ago, and she clearly needed, some mental help. And the police came and just shot her, twice in the torso and killed her. And no one has been arrested for this crime, just like so many other people of color, especially black and brown people, and also indigenous people, have been shot down by the police. We call it a police war against black and brown people because in this society, with this current economic capitalist crisis, where there's no jobs being created, no real jobs, maybe some part-time jobs here and there. When there's fewer and fewer jobs, it means that people become more expendable. And black and brown youth are becoming more and more expendable in this society because there's no jobs. And so we say stop this police war on black and brown people. Our youth need jobs. When I was in Ferguson a few years ago, this was during right after Michael Brown was killed. And we interviewed a number of youth while we were in Ferguson. And when we asked them, what do you want to see happen besides getting justice for Michael Brown, which never came, the main thing they told us is that we want jobs. We want to be a part of the union. We don't want to be targeted by police. This is the main thing that they told us. And so we say, yes, you have a right to a job. You have a right to be able to support your families and so forth. So we say, stop this police war on black and brown people. Let's jail killer cops.
Yes.
And also we want to disarm and abolish the police as a repressive force in society. You know, they become judge, jury, and executioner in this society. What's going on in South Carolina right now, there's currently a trial going on of Walter, in terms of the murder of Walter Scott, the black man who was shot 8 times in the back in South Carolina. And there's a big struggle going on right now because 90% of the jurors are white. There's only one person of color, only one black person that's on the jury. And what kind of representation is that? That is disenfranchising the black community, who should have a right to judge this white racist cop who just blatantly shot Scott in the back 8 times. And the last point of our platform, this is very, very important, is this is also part of the police war against black and brown people, and that is in the prison industrial complex and mass incarceration of black and Latino youth, abolish solitary confinement and the death penalty, which is also a weapon against poor and working people, free Mami Abu-Jamal, Anna Montez, Leonard Peltier, who is really an inspiration for so many people in Standing Rock. He's been in prison. He was a leader of the American Indian movement back in the 1970s, and he was framed for killing 2 FBI agents when they raided, the Pine Ridge Reservation back in 1973. There was no evidence against Leonard Peltier. They just wanted to frame him. They wanted to punish the American Indian movement, so they framed him, and he's been in prison for 43 years. Which is really a crime. And we say free Leonard Peltier, we say free Oscar Lopez Rivera, who is a Puerto Rican fighter, who's also been in prison for over 50 years. Reverend Edward Pinckney in Michigan, who's been fighting for the right to vote in Michigan, and that's why he was framed up. Afia Siddiqui, a Pakistani sister who's been railroaded. She was railroaded because of the events coming out of 9/11. Rasmea O'Day, who is a Palestinian sister who really has won some victories in terms of getting her out of prison, but has always stood for the right of the Palestinian people's right to return. And so many other political prisoners. And we say stop FBI harassment of activists. So sisters and brothers, this is our 10-point program. This is what we stand for. But also, another important message of our campaign is solidarity. We're for building solidarity with many, many movements in this country and around the world, because this system of capitalism is all about divide and conquer, to keep us weak, to keep us fighting amongst ourselves. It pushes white supremacy day in and day out. There's not one issue in this country that's not associated or tied to the struggle against racism and white supremacy. That's why we stand with Black Lives Matter. That's why we stand for immigrant rights. That's why we stand for all oppressed people against this terrible, racist, homophobic, sexist society.
Right after the elections, no matter which capitalist wins, a week from today, Workers' World Party will convene its national conference. We're doing it in a very special place, the Malcolm Shabazz Center, named after Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz. Giants in the struggle, not only of black people, but all oppressed people on the planet for freedom. It's up in Washington Heights. It's an open public conference. And you are welcome to come. We want you to come. Because just maybe you're looking for an organization so you can fight for the rights of poor and working people, women, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, immigrants, all workers and oppressed. Just maybe you're looking for Workers' World Party.